Welcome once again to Game On. The best episode of the week is finally upon us, the Friday edition. After the exciting but questionable antics of Conor McGregor during his conference with Khabib Nurmagomedov, say that 3 times fast, last night, I had some questions on how exactly the mind games of Conor affect the fight. I rely on Brent Fryia, yes, the same Brent Fryia who brought me through jiu-jitsu, to fill me in on his thoughts on how the fight will play out. Stefano also joins me once more in studio as we take a quick look at the hot start to the Thunderbird season and also discuss the Toronto Raptors and Kawhi Leonard. Let's end the work week right with another great installment of Game On. Welcome back to Game On, where our discussions on the show today will be national and they'll also be local. But first off, we're going to talk about, he's hanging out right behind me. We're talking about Kawhi Leonard today, the trade that sent a lot of shockwaves through the NBA. But that's why I've got my buddy here, my good old pal, the local sports encyclopedia, Matt Stefano, who's going to fill us in a little bit about the players that were involved in the trade first. So Matt, first off, tell me a little bit about what you know about Kawhi Leonard.
Well, Kawhi Leonard, all I know is that, he's played with the San Antonio Spurs for the past 7 seasons. Yep. He was a first-round pick by the Indiana Pacers, and we know he's a star player, and I think that this trade is a good trade for Toronto.
And for me, when the trade did happen, I know how great and highly considered he is when it comes to the league. He's one of the best defensive players, and nobody is ever going to take that away. But the only thing is when it came to that trade for DeMar DeRozan is the heart and soul, was the heart and soul of the Toronto Raptors for so long. How long was it that DeMar played for Toronto?
He played 9 seasons with them, and he's actually Toronto, believe this or not, DeMar DeRozan is the Raptors' all-time leader in scoring.
Exactly. He, like I said, heart and soul of the team, leading scorer all time. That's why we bring in Matt with the stats here. And when the trade happened, I wasn't surprised as much as I was almost confused, where we all know Kawhi's coming into that last year of his deal. He's not looking like he's going to resign so far. I mean, obviously nobody knows that for sure yet. Nobody knows his mind as well as him and his agent does. But DeMar didn't want to leave Toronto. DeMar wanted to stay. I guess it comes down to DeMar not being able to lead the team past a certain point in the playoffs where they got defeated by Cleveland multiple times, and the team just kind of figured that they needed to do something different. But would you ever trade your franchise player for a 1-year rental, even if he is a bit better?
In my opinion, no. Actually, if I had a franchise player, I would not want to trade him for a rental, because once his contract is up, you never know what's going to happen once he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So I'd say no at that on my part.
Right, and I mean, you are getting a bit of an upgrade when it comes to Kawhi. He's a little bit better on the defensive end, and some might even say he's a bit better offensively gifted as well. We all know how good DeMar is at driving towards the net. Now, when you look at the trade as well, you say, okay, DeMar didn't want to leave, Kawhi doesn't want to be here. But Kawhi's coming off a year where he was injury-ridden for almost, 3/4 of the season? People are saying he's not going to want to come and play in Toronto. But me and you both know when a player's in a year before he gets a big contract, they play their absolute heart out because it comes down to money. So do you think Kawhi is going to still perform, or do you think that maybe if he doesn't want to play in Toronto, he wouldn't play as well as he would, maybe necessarily playing for San Antonio?
Well, the thing is, when players go to Toronto, it's a bit of an adjustment for them, because when you look at the NBA, Toronto is the only Canadian team in the league. It's just like the MLB. The Toronto Blue Jays are the only Canadian team, so sure, it's going to be an adjustment for him, but I think that once he starts getting used to the city, he's going to realize how great the fans are, how great Toronto is, and then he's going to like playing there.
It's the thing a lot of players have said across all the sports is Toronto's a great city, somewhere where they want to live, they want to play the sport that they do, because as much as Toronto media can scrutinize some players, they can also show undying love to them. So I guess at the end of the day, where you might have a rental player that can play better than your franchise player, it's just a big risk you're taking, not knowing what his future is with the team. Many questions a lot of us have asked, but the only one with the answers is going to be Kawhi, Masai, and Kawhi's agent. So this story is still going to unfold over the course of the season, and I guess we'll be here to report on what exactly happens. But stay tuned, more Game On after this. Welcome back once again to Game On, where I'm joined here by Steel City MMA's Brent Fryia. There's no flips involved today, I can assure you that. But what we are going to be talking about is something that took the sports world not by surprise, because we're used to his antics, but they were interesting to say the least. The Conor Khabib presser was last night. So I brought in Brent. We're going to break it down a little bit. But first, Brent, for anybody watching at home, they need to know you're credible, right? So tell me a little bit about your background in actual competition and as a trainer.
Well, I coach at Steel City MMA. We have several competitive fighters with some fights coming up. I'm a retired professional fighter. I had a professional record of 8-4. I've also competed in jiu-jitsu and sambo and wrestling and stuff like that before transitioning to MMA. And now I coach.
Right. Now, before we break down anything, I know you said you didn't really have a favorite to pick, but gun to your head, if you had to pick, who's going to win that fight before we talk about anything?
Right now, the odds makers in Vegas have Khabib as a slight favorite. I think that is probably, I mean, that fight could go either way, but I think that's right. Having him as a slight favorite, I would be hard-pressed to pick, but if I really had to, I would probably go Khabib.
Okay.
Would not be shocked if Conor wins.
And that can change definitely on the course of the way to the fight for sure. But in your travels around the world, you've said you've been over different continents fighting. You've trained a bunch. Mm-hmm. Have you seen anybody as bashful as Conor before in your time?
Well, I think bashful is the opposite word, but yeah, I think he's brash.
Yes, brash.
He's the best. He's the best ever, probably at selling his fights.
Yes.
Whether you agree with the way he does it or not, I'm not a huge fan of it, but he does bring attention to his fights and makes him and his opponents a lot of money.
Right, and I mean all of the eyes that go in the UFC. A big thing was Conor didn't say anything about this fight leading up to that press conference. It was announced, he made no media appearances, and that kind of took me by surprise too, just for the fact that it's Conor, right? It's Conor McGregor. For the most part during the press conference, I found Khabib played it pretty calm, cool, collected. Didn't really seem to play in too many games that Conor was trying to reel him into. Do you think maybe Khabib has that mental edge where he didn't try and run around and play the game that Conor loves to do?
Yeah, well, I think Khabib is a little more stoic than a lot of Conor's former
Absolutely.
opponents. And the other thing is, English isn't even his first language, so he's not going to let himself get sucked into some debate and some back and forth. That's not his style. So yeah, I don't think he will be as affected by the mental games as much as maybe some of the other opponents.
And do you think it even registered with Conor the fact that Khabib wasn't really giving into the games? Because Conor just kept going and going and going and trying to poke and prod at him to get a reaction that never really seemed to come.
Yeah, I think it made Conor look a little worse actually. When Khabib didn't react, Conor seemed to turn it up, and it was getting a little painful to watch
right?
At some points. Yeah.
Well, now we're going to take a look at one of the sound bites of the night, maybe the sound bite of the night. We're going to take a look at it right now. It's Conor trying to get in Khabib's face with a glass of alcohol in his hand.
Happy birthday,
I don't drink.
Why don't you drink?
I don't drink.
Why don't you drink?
I never drink.
I'll tell you some booze at parties.
I never drink.
You mad backwards cunt. You're
never
dead when I
drink.
get my hands on you, do you hear me?
I never
You're
drink.
fucking dead.
I never drink
I'll
this
drink
shit.
at me. Yeah, hold on to the leg.
And right after that sound bit, too, he said, the OG of the fighting game, Dana White, slugs these back while he slammed his drink. I posed the question to a few of my friends that follow UFC. Dana did accept the drink from Conor. It's not hard to see Dana does favor Conor a little bit, does bring a lot of eyes. Do you think necessarily he would have taken a drink if Khabib would have been the one offering it?
Well, that was an interesting situation. That's a tough question. Khabib's a Muslim and he doesn't drink. So,
right. Well, maybe not say Khabib, but anybody else.
Yeah.
If they offered Dana the drink, do you think he would have taken it at a press conference?
I don't know. Hard to say. He probably would have. I think that's neither here nor there. But it was interesting. Conor just launched his new whiskey last week. So Conor essentially tried to turn this into a press conference for his whiskey more than anything else. It was, and a little bit insulting. Connor knows Khabib is Muslim and doesn't drink, so you know, the little bit of disrespect towards his religion there probably is probably starting to wear on some fans. I think when I talk to other people who were fans are starting to get a little weary of some of the antics.
And I mean, Khabib just kind of sat there and took it. No, I don't drink, and didn't give into it. And like we've said before, Connor just kept peppering and peppering. But when I watched that too, I saw him come out with the alcohol. I saw him say, "Oh, I tried to sneak this bottle in, so I made sure I had a backup here." I almost wanted to question his mental health, but is this just Connor playing those games?
It's just Connor being a promoter. He's trying to promote his fight. He's trying to, you know, it's no coincidence that I think the press conference was 2 days after he launched his new product. So he's being the businessman, Connor, and he's good at that.
And the one thing that he started the fight off, or not the fight, but the press conference off with, was saying, "Let's get these fans in here." Do you think he actually wants the fans there, or do you think he's just trying to cater to them to get some more butts and seats? Although it is sold out, you know what I'm trying to get across there.
I think he would want the fans, and I think most of the fans who were there who showed up would have been Connor fans as opposed to Khabib fans.
Right.
So it would have created a good environment for him. He would have got a little bit more of the reaction he wanted, but I think the UFC wasn't going to let that happen.
And when it comes to trainers, would you, maybe even you, would you encourage your fighter to be that loud to try and get that mental edge, or do you think it's a bit too childish?
No, I'm not a fan of that personally. I think we need to be professional and act like professionals. And
Right.
in most cases, respect is a big part of the game, and most fighters feel that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't sell as well, so some people have latched onto that. But it's not my style. It's not what I like. It's not what I would like my fighters to do either.
Right, and it's not necessarily selling it, but it has seemed to have given Connor a huge mental edge in some of the fights that he's went up against. So you wouldn't even let your competitor do a little trash talking, a little bit of chirping just for that mental edge?
People who you know train and fight for me, I'm not their dad. I'm not their boss. They're free to do whatever they want.
Right.
But we do have you know certain expectations, and you know we do things a certain way. They can do things within reason, but it's not what I would be coaching them to do.
Absolutely. Brent, I want to thank you for coming in and breaking this down a little bit. I'm hoping to have him in here a few more times before that October 6th fight, if he'd be more than welcome to come in. So I thank you again, and I thank you for watching Game On, but we've got a little bit more right after this. And welcome back to Game On, where I promised earlier in the show that we would talk national sports, but now that that's out of the way, we're going to switch our focus now over to local sports, where, like I've said before, Matt, the local encyclopedia of sports knowledge, is joining me, and I don't think there's a level of expertise that could top his with the Thunderbirds. So, Matt, they're off to a hot start in the NOJHL this season, 3-0, but what's contributed so early on with their success?
It would have to be the play of third-year forward Lucas Terrio. Well, he's actually in his second full year this year, and he's coming off an 11-goal season last year. And so far in his first 3 games, he's got 8 points. So when you look at the play of Lucas Terrio, he's definitely helped out with the Thunderbirds' offense in this 3-0 start.
And I know you're very hopeful to hopefully see, you know, maybe get into that national title shot picture a little bit. I guess Terrio's going to have a huge hand if they want to make it that far. Who are some other players that are really going to need to help pull some of the weight to, you know, maybe get that national recognition?
Well, they got their top scorer from last year, Nick Smith, who's back with the team this year. He's also an assistant captain. Nick led the team last year with 35 goals and 69 points in 55 games.
Okay, that's an impressive season.
And another interesting stat is he also tied the team record for most power play goals scored at home with 8. And when you look at Nick Smith, he's really good on the power play. He's dangerous out there when they put him on. And to have him back this year is a big bonus for the Thunderbirds. And another big player that they have back is their defenseman, Steven Bellini, who is their top scoring defenseman from 1 season ago. He had 1 goal and 28 assists. And another thing for the record, his 28 assists tied the team record for most assists by a rookie defenseman in 1 season.
And you have spoken with John Parko. This is his 2nd season behind the bench. Actually, you did speak to John Parko. You can check out ONN's YouTube channel for that. Little plug there. But how has John Parko done in the, sculpting a culture there of success really so early on in just the 2 seasons.
Oh, he's done a really good job with this team because when he first came into the NOJHL last year in his first year, he just came from, he spent most of his coaching career in Italy. He even played hockey in Italy. He comes back to the Sioux after spending a year coaching, with the Lake State Lakers hockey team. And last year in his rookie season, he helped this team. They were one of the youngest teams in the 12-team league. And we went all the way to the second round of the playoffs, and then he ended up winning the NOJHL's Coach of the Year. That's how good he is of a coach. And again, for this 3-0 start, the players are getting used to his systems, and they like playing for him. And this team is well coached, and I think they're going to do good with him.
And really quickly, you're super short on time. Where can we catch their next home game?
Their next home game will be this Sunday at 7 o'clock against the Elliott Lake Wildcats at the John Rhodes.
Perfect. You got to go out there and cheer them on. I know Matt will be there cheering them on for sure, and I'm going to be cheering them on, of course, as well. But thanks for sticking with Game On, and as always, more after this. And here we are at the end of another week of Game On. Definitely keep your eyes on our show next week as we are having a bit of a giveaway that hockey fans will be intrigued by. Also next week, you'll see me out in the field trying another activity, but we can't give it away to you for free. You'll have to come back next week to find out. You'll catch us every day, Tuesday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. on TV. And we thank you again for watching and hope you have a wonderful weekend. And that's it. You found yourself at the end of another Game On video, but there's more. If you're looking for more Game On content from Matt and myself, you'll be able to find exactly that right here.